Today I'm joined by Chloe Chiang, real estate pro, creative host, and the woman behind Château Chloe, her stunning New Orleans inspired dream home on the east side of Austin. Chloe shares what it's like growing up biracial in Missouri City, why she didn't wait for a partner to build the life she wanted, and how she's creating intentional community through her events, French Leaf Friday, and No Bad Company. This one's all about identity, independence, and owning your path.
Ooh.
Chloe, welcome. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. What a great introduction.
I'm excited.
Is that me?
It is you, and I'm so excited to tell your story today. We'll get straight into it. Okay. Growing up and identity. You grew up in Missouri City, a Houston suburb. What was your childhood like, and how do you think that environment shaped you?
I've been kind of evaluating my childhood upbringing a lot lately. I guess we're on a podcast about sharing our story, right? I just had my first medicine journey a few months ago. I have a second follow-up actually this weekend. So I've really kind of, I don't want to say I blocked out a lot of my childhood. I think I just have so many amazing memories growing up. Me and my sister would put on plays and dances, and my parents were very involved, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She planned all of our birthday parties. I just have a lot of beautiful memories of play and creativity, and I think that's translated a lot to what I do now. But also just there was what I blocked out was just something I feel like I disassociated with. My dad had a bit of a temper, and I think me trying to be the best at certain things made him happy. My work ethic made him happy. So I was always just trying to keep my dad's temper at bay. And so there was a lot of performative things I think I would do, or there was just a lot of times where I just didn't want to be at the house. So I spent a lot of time doing gymnastics. That was a big part of my life, and it kept me out of the home. So I would say I have beautiful, beautiful memories of my childhood, and then just some that I'm just now learning what that means now as an adult looking back. But yeah, and then a lot of people ask me what are you? I get that asked actually a lot since I left home, which I guess the answer is I'm half Chinese. I'm half white, and that was never a question growing up, I guess, because people saw my parents. Your friends would come over, and they would just automatically know.
Right.
Also, growing up in Missouri City and Houston in general, it's very racially diverse. And I would say if I had 10 best friends, 2 of them were white. So very racially diverse. And then coming to Austin, people were just always kind of looking at you so where are you from? And sometimes I'd play around with people I'm from America, just being kind of cheeky. But I think what they're really asking is what's your ethnic background?
So speaking of, you're half Chinese and half white. How did your cultural background influence the way you saw yourself growing up?
I didn't really affect me. I guess I had a very unique upbringing in the sense that there wasn't any racial bullying, at least for me. There was no confusion. Everyone was mixed. Everyone looked different. In fact, my high school was one of the most racially diverse high schools in the country at the time. So yeah, I think our high school homecoming queen was a gay guy. So it was pretty progressive.
Progressive, yeah.
Now that's probably not a huge surprise, but back then it was different, and then I remember one of my proms, there was, a black prom queen, and then the prom king was this nerdy white kid. So when they had to do the dance, it was so funny because we were all just yeah. So yeah, it really didn't affect me at all. I do remember my mom loves to just dump all of my things that I used to have as a kid at my house. She's like, yeah, I don't want your yearbooks anymore. I don't want your, Letterman jacket. I was like, I don't really want it either. But she had given me a bunch of my dad's old yearbooks, and I was scrolling through them, and he had it pretty rough. He was born in Texas, even though he's Chinese, and being raised in the 60s, in Marshall, Texas, East Texas. Lots of abuse and bullying, and just even reading his yearbook, people were leaving these like horrific, terrible racial slurs in there.
Wow.
Some people even saying, I don't even know how you get up and go to school. I really wish the best for you, man. Just stuff like that. So I can see how things have progressed over time, and I feel very blessed that I didn't have the same experience as him. And my parents are, what's the term, I guess, racially, what is it when you have two racial different parents? I don't know. Anyways, I never saw anything.
Okay.
My mom even told me, she was like, I didn't even know what he was when I started dating him.
Oh my God.
Because he was like super tan, long black hair, and talked with a southern accent. He'd be like, y'all fixing wrecking. I'm going to go to the store later. What y'all want? So.
That is hilarious. So is your father first generation Chinese?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's just a short Asian man with an East Texas accent.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you feel that you were like, do you identify with one culture over the other? Like for me, I'm half Greek, half Mexican. And because, typically you're more with your mom's side of the family, I'm like, probably identify more as like Hispanic.
Yeah.
And my dad has passed away in 2009 from a heart attack, but my dad was like a very proud Greek. His license plate said Greek. He drove an Electron Blue Corvette. Like he volunteered at the church. He was like very heavily involved with the church. And I know I'm Greek and I'm very proud of that. My last name is Greek. Like when I'm with my Greek family, I'm like, yes, Opa. But typically I'm like, more around the Hispanic culture, my mom's side of the family. So I identify like more as a Latina, even though I'm biracial.
That's so interesting. Yeah, you definitely look Latina. I would have never guessed Greek. Two very powerful ethnicities, spicy.
Yeah.
I think that's always an interesting question because I like to ask that to biracial people. That was the word I was
biracial. I thought so. I thought maybe that was it, but then I was like, yeah.
I do identify more as white, I think, because maybe that's just because of my mom. And maybe because my dad, we didn't grow up with much Asian tradition. We didn't speak Chinese in the house. There wasn't Chinese holidays. There wasn't, my Nana was Chinese and was very Chinese and had a lot of that, but we didn't live near her. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of that culture and history and vibrancy. So I don't connect with it quite as much.
Got it. So were there ever moments where you struggled feeling fully seen or fully fit in because of your mixed identity? It sounds like no, like because of the way you grew up. Because you do get a lot of that. Like even I, it's like when I moved I was moved around a lot and I was in the South before. So I moved to El Paso my senior year of high school and was like super country because I was in Georgia and Memphis before that. And I definitely, didn't speak Spanish and had a big old Southern accent. So they were like, who the fuck is this white ass, brown ass girl? And so I definitely struggled with like identity issues of like, I look it, but I'm not it. I like, they were just like confused by me. So there was a lot of like pressure to learn Spanish and assimilate, especially in El Paso and Austin. No, but like I struggled with like that identity growing up. So it's nice that you didn't have.
That's so interesting. I can see that. I am starting to realize that I think somehow I've just been very blessed with a lot of, like, the universe has taken really good care of me. And I have been very fortunate not to have an identity crisis. I think that while my mom and my dad, I don't think grew up in households that instilled self-worth in them. They did have a great work ethic. They did love their children and raised me to be fiercely independent. And I think through that, I built a lot of confidence. So it's not that I've always known who I am. I think I've just always known my values. And so that kind of helps me create my identity, I would say. So if someone didn't like me, I'd be like, okay, bye,
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know, maybe it was confidence, maybe it was like faking it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I haven't had, I've been lucky not to have that.
So do you have any like Chinese friends that you hang out with?
Hmm.
Or did you maybe gravitate towards like more Asian people or no, not at all?
Not really. I mean, it was all over the place.
Yeah.
Everybody there, half the time I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, you're Indian? Oh, you're
Yeah.
Middle Eastern? Oh, you're Hispanic, you're blonde with,
Yeah.
green eyes. Yeah, I mean, it was all over the place for sure.
I love it. And that's the beauty of growing up in a place that's really diverse.
Yeah.
And you're exposed to a lot of cultures at a young age to where it like doesn't even phase you, right? It's like
Yeah.
a topic, that I bring up because so many people, myself included, have these kind of identity like issues because of social like pressure and stigmas and like not knowing where to fit in, especially if you're like half black, you're not black enough for like,
Mm-hmm.
the black community, and then you're not like white enough for, because you're super, look biracial and stuff. So I love that didn't have those societal like pressures and, to choose. That's really nice because a lot of
Yeah,
people
you
don't
can't
have
put
that.
me in a box.
That's right. That's right. I love it. So what values did your parents instill in you that still guide your life today?
Oh my God, so many. If you're gonna do something, do it right. Don't half-ass anything. That was always a big one. Um, My dad never really liked us being late, so we used to have to sit on the front stoop and wait for, whoever was picking us up. He's like, don't ever let anyone wait for you. So now that gives me like most anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm like running late. I'm like, oh my God. But I moved to Austin, and being 10 minutes early, you were waiting an hour for people.
Oh, girl.
So
Yeah.
I would say the emotional like anxiety of being early and not letting anyone wait for you is there, and there's like that guilt. People's time is very valuable.
Right. It is. It is though.
It is, and it's a good thing, but I would say I if I did that now, everyone's late here.
Yeah.
Everyone's just kind of like la-di-da.
Yeah.
So I do try to be at least on time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was work ethic, really. All came down to just doing your best. And it's interesting too. I remember being younger, and I was like, oh, I got an A. Can I get ice cream, or can I get $2 or whatever? Whatever. Allie got $2 for getting good grades, and my parents were like, you're supposed to get good grade. You don't get rewarded for doing what you're supposed to do. And I think that's always stuck with me as well. It's even in my career, it's like, if I'm supposed to do good,
Right.
That's what being a professional is all about, is that's the bare minimum, is to do good.
Right.
And so I had to find other ways to make money. And my parents, if I wanted something like a go-kart or a TV, they were like, you have to pay for half. And so I would wash cars, I would go door knocking, I'd make jewelry. So I was an entrepreneur at a very young
hustler.
age. I loved it.
Beginning.
And I didn't even care. It wasn't even about the money. I actually liked, working more than I even liked, like the golf cart, or not the golf cart, the go-kart. What am I talking about? A remote control car.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted,
Okay.
the remote control car. I liked the process of getting it. Then actually, I played with that thing for 2 days.
Right.
I was like over it. I was like, on to the next. I was like, oh my God, this is so fun to make jewelry. And then someone loved what I made and bought it. Or someone said yes to me and trusted me to wash their car. And so I remember sometimes my dad would drive home his like coworker's car so I could wash it, so that I could, make money. It would make him so proud.
Right.
So I remember one time I was washing the car. He's like, you missed a spot. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. And he's like, no, it's not okay. You need to do that. You need to do it right. And so that kind of work ethic has always stuck with me.
Amazing. So let's get into, speaking of work, real estate and career. What drew you to real estate initially, and when did it become your full-time gig?
Mm. Well, I mean, I wish I had a better story than this, but my dad had passed away. I was 19. I was a Division One. Everyone loves to say that they're D1. So I guess it's some impressive thing. But I was a D1 college athlete, gymnastics in California. Got the news that my dad had gotten pancreatic cancer. And it was crazy because maybe 2 months before that, my mom had gotten West Nile virus, and they were like, she's going to die. So my mom had almost died and luckily survived. And then my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, given 8 weeks to live. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll quit gymnastics, come home.
Where were they living? California?
In Houston. No,
Houston,
they were still there in Missouri City. And it was a blessing in disguise. It really, and that's a topic for another question. But when he had passed away, there was no money, there was nothing. And so I just didn't want to be poor.
Yeah.
And one of my girlfriends, her dad seemed very successful. They had a house on the golf course. He drove a Porsche. My friend drove what was the Infiniti G5? It was like the car. I wanted. And he had a statue in the living room. I was like, this guy, I want to make money like this guy. So I remember I was over at the house, like, what do you do for a living? He goes, I'm a real estate attorney. And I go, fuck yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I was like, everyone said I would be good at sales and being a good attorney. I was like, law, real estate, logical. Everyone needs to buy a house or needs an attorney at some point. I didn't even ask him what his day-to-day was like. I didn't ask him what he did. I was like, real estate attorney? That makes sense. So I was like, I'm going to go get my real estate license. Then I'm going to go to law school, and got my real estate license when I was 19 at UT, and just spent a whole summer studying, took the course, and then did my first little West Campus lease deal, and I fell in love. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I am not going to go to law school. I'm going to do real estate. And it was actually really great to find something I loved so much at a young age.
Right.
I feel really lucky for that. So I've been doing it now for 17 years.
Wow.
I think I got my license in 2009. So
okay.
I don't know, 17 something years. So
that's a great story.
Yeah.
Mine was similar. I was dating a guy, and he actually encouraged me to get his real estate license, but he was like the most successful person I knew at such a young age. And so I was like, oh, hell yeah. He can do it. I can do it, and make that money. So
it's funny because one of my clients, she's like, will you talk to my son? He's not going to go to college and he doesn't know what he wants to do. I was like, sure. So he calls me, he goes, Miss Chang? And I go, oh, Lord. Oh, like, I am not Miss Chang. Am I Miss Chang? Calling me ma'am, and which is very respectful.
Right, but no.
And I guess in a way, I'm like, okay, ma'am is like a form of respect.
Yeah.
That also makes me feel old.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, I don't want to tell a 19-year-old kid not to go into real estate. I mean, it's just so funny that now in my mind I would not recommend it.
Right. Oh, 100%.
Because knowing what I've been through, I think there's something really great about getting into real estate young, because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if it's not your forever career, you'll meet so many amazing people. You'll learn everything. And so I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I loved it, and I still do. So
God bless, girl. Lord knows it's nice.
And it's funny. I always used to hate those realtors. Like, I've been in real estate for 20 years, 30
now
years.
You're that realtor.
And now I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that is a badge of honor. Anyone I can say in the business that long, I still will not say it because it irks me. But I get it, because there are sometimes I do catch myself wanting to be like, I've been doing
I own it. Truly own it. And also, that's what sets you apart from other agents. Like, at the end of the day, I've been doing it for 23 years.
Yeah.
And I say I've been doing it. If an opportunity presents itself, or it's something that's like, you're telling your history and your story, like, it's a big deal. You've done it almost 2 decades now.
Yeah.
23 years, the majority of like my life.
Yep.
I have been a real estate professional. Like, It's crazy.
It is. I'm like, wait, am I even old enough to be in a career now?
I know. And then it's like you say that and people are like, well, how old are you?
Yeah.
Like, damn.
I hope they keep asking me that.
Yeah. Please, God. So, how do you use your creativity and cultural perspective to stand out in a competitive industry?
Um, I've just always liked standing out ever since I can remember. I don't know, I always like to feel valuable. And so I think I always come from a place of what value can I offer this
Mhm.
person first and foremost. Um, I think too, after building my house and moving in, and it's just probably in the last couple months, I have felt at home, talking earlier, like where as a kid, I I felt like at home I was always walking on eggshells
Mhm.
and I didn't really want to be home. And then you get in your 20s and then you're never home. You're at your
Mhm.
boyfriend's house, you're out partying. And so now at 36, I love being home and it just feels peaceful. And so now I just have a whole new respect for what I do, which is helping people find a home. And I
Mhm.
think not like I did it before. Before it was very much maybe a little bit, especially earlier in the career, just a competitiveness.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the best, I want to be the top.
Mhm.
And now it's like I just really want to help people. And so I think that's always come through is that, Chloe wants to do a good job,
Mhm.
not just for, herself, but for her clients. And now it's like, oh, she actually also, it's cheesy as it sounds, she actually really cares,
Mhm.
and I think what's great about being in the industry for this long, you're not chasing the commission.
Mhm.
I've never really done that. It's always been about just doing good work for the sake
Mhm.
of doing good work. And so I think my upbringing and how I've handled my career has always just been about relationships first and how can I bring value. And I just I yeah, I just want people to see me as someone who's going to be their advocate.
Mhm.
And I think that's the most important because it when you're buying a home or selling a home, it's extremely emotional.
Right.
It's not even if you just put the money part aside, which is a big part of the emotion, it's a lot of, you know, helping people go through this evolution of am I buying this house because I want to have kids in it? Am I buying this house because I just got out of a divorce? Like they're usually in some sort of big transition.
Right.
And so our conversations aren't just about how many bedrooms and how many
Right.
bathrooms and opening doors. A lot of it is the consulting part of like
Mhm.
what is the lifestyle? And that's why I kind of have rebranded myself as, a lifestyle expert, a
Mhm.
lifestyle consultant, because now with Zillow and Redfin, you can find your own home. You don't need
Right.
a realtor to find you a home. You
Right.
need a realtor to help you figure out what lifestyle you want to live,
Right.
what quality of life you see yourself having, and how to negotiate the deal so that people don't even know what we do to keep you guys out of lawsuits and
Right. What
not
goes
buying
on behind the
not buying
scenes.
something with a terrible roof or
Right.
making sure you get the best interest rate. So um I think that I have gotten to a place where I'm not having to validate
Mhm.
trying to get validation from other people. Now I know I do a great job. And if I mess up, I take full ownership and
Right.
accountability. So I hope that when people work with me or at least just know me as a person, that
Mhm.
there's a genuine part to what I do.
You do such a good job also on your social media. Like if I didn't know you or just met you once and then I went to your social, like you do a good job. You can tell you're super passionate. Like you're also want to educate people and kind of, because there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And so if I didn't know you or if I was looking for a realtor, I feel like you're not going to connect with everyone, right? We're not for everyone. So certain
Yeah.
personalities go with certain people. And that's the beauty of like being in our industry is, but what I do have to offer in my expertise, it's really going to resonate with someone. And so you do such a good job like on social. So I
Thank
just want to
you.
tell you that.
Thank you.
So you've lived in Austin since 2008. What's been the biggest shift in the real estate landscape and how have you adapted?
Um, Gosh, I feel like we're in an constantly changing industry. I think that's the key is not just as a realtor, but in life, just the ability to pivot.
Yeah.
And I remember pre-COVID, I used to set these crazy goals. And 2019 going into, I had this whole business plan. I was ready. I even started in I like to write my goals for the next year, like in October, because I wanted to have a head start. I was that bitch.
Yeah.
Sitting down with my team, like, all right, here's what we're going to do. And then COVID hits and you're just like, whoa, this is a whole nother thing. So I think COVID was a big shift just in general, people's mindsets around how they purchase, how they saw investments was really interesting. I think in the beginning of my career, they didn't even have the MLS on MacBook. I remember having to download Microsoft on my MacBook. Or I had to go to the PCL at UT and use another computer. I mean, I didn't even have GPS in my car, so I was putting MapQuest directions.
Oh my God.
Someone was like, I want to see this house. Can we add it? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just the technology change alone. DocuSign.
Right.
Because I started in West Campus leasing, still the hardest thing I've ever done. You try getting 4 guys to fill out an application and 4 college kids to show up and look at houses and then get their parents to sign a guarantor and then return a key because they don't have a lockbox. I mean, my car was filled with keys because I just didn't return them. And also I was trying to be, I was like, no one else is going to lease this place. I got it. So I keep the key.
Oh my God.
I remember a couple of the brokers would get mad. Chloe, you've got to return the
Yeah,
key.
you're the
I know, I'm going to lease it. I'm going to hold on to it. I got another group that needs it.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I think the technology was a big shift. I think also my network, while it hasn't changed drastically, they have changed. Right. So I remember, 19, no one wanted to buy a house for me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to educate myself. I put myself in every room I could with people that I thought were smarter than me, business owners, everything. I read every book. Just anything I could, and started building these presentations so I could teach people in their early 20s how to buy a house. It's like, okay, if I can just give people education, I can give them power. Because I think the reason people aren't wanting to buy homes is because they don't know how. Right. They're not motivated to buy a house because they're not getting married and having kids. These are people in their 20s, getting drunk on Lake Travis. Right. So I had to come up with something different because I didn't have resources. I didn't have parents that had a network. I had no network at all. So I would go to tech companies and say, can I just come bring breakfast and meet people in the office? And I will give, I was doing $800 a month leases. And some of those people I met, leased an apartment from me and then bought their first home, and now they're buying their family house. And so I've been able to evolve with them. So I don't know if that really answers your question, but, I think the evolution of just people's lives have been a nice change for me. Yeah. Going from leasing, and I still do a lease every now and then. But yeah, leasing to even helping their parents buy their last home. So it's really getting to meet the whole family and seeing how their needs have changed over time has made me, people like, well, where do you focus? What's your niche? And I'm like, honestly, everything. Everything. I've done it. I've kind of almost done it all.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting too. I, specialize in downtown. That's my, I've kind of built a career on that, but you have to pivot. I can sell anything anywhere, and I don't want to put myself in a box either. So I definitely recommend to agents, especially getting into the industry, you're going to go wherever the business takes you, learn the lay of the land. But if there's a neighborhood or an area you're passionate about, become the expert. And you're definitely East Side expert. You live in the East Side, you've become the expert. But at the end of the day, look, in this industry and in this market, we're going to go wherever the business takes us. Yeah. And leases included. So that's just so important.
Yeah. Stay humble, because this market will humble you.
Yeah. Repeatedly.
Yes.
So what do you wish more people, especially women, understood about owning and investing in properties?
I think one thing that women have the strength in is intuition. I think don't get so caught up in this jargon of cash flow is important. Yes, appreciation is important. Those two things are important. But the IRR, the cash on cash, I mean, I just felt like I was trying to help investors, primarily men, um, buy investment properties. And I went all over. I mean, I had people like, I want to I want to do mobile home parks to I want, Section 8 housing to I want ranch land. I mean, I've been on wild goose chases.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I had this intuition of like, if you build an apartment complex here, the demographic is families. So one bed, most of the mixes of apartments before were all one bedrooms. It's like the numbers you're giving me doesn't make sense to build only one bedroom or primarily one bedrooms in these apartments. And they didn't really listen to me, and that's why the numbers never worked. And so I took CCIM. I did all of these things to try and speak this language of men and how this is what makes a great investment property. But I think for women is just trusting your intuition. It's just looking around you. I think the best advice I could give is if you're in a market area, look around. Is the demographics, older, younger? I always say that's the best place to start. What's the average household size? What's the average income? If the average income is $50,000, well, they're not going to pay $3,000 a month in rent. If there's average 60-year-olds, you're not going to buy a 3-story townhome.
Right.
So it's actually very logical. And I think trusting that intuition, I think especially if you're wanting to get in a short-term rental market, I find a lot of the men in particular in that market are very numbers driven, and they'll try to cheap out on the design, try to, max out the amount of people that sleep in there. But the women who invest a little bit with their heart and a little bit with their intuition, like, but if I make this look special, if I gear this towards a specific audience, they do a really great job. So, for women, I'd say hire a good realtor who can give you the information that you need to make a decision and trust your intuition.
I love that. So let's talk Château Chloe,
Okay.
dream house as a single woman. So let's talk about Château Chloe, your absolutely stunning New Orleans inspired home. What was the vision that inspired that?
Oh, there was a lot of visions,
To build it, to create this dream home of yours.
It was pre-COVID. I had saved up a lot of money, lived very frugally, and I was like, okay, I really just wanted to increase my knowledge base. My whole career has all been about education and learning and adding more skills and just, again, wanting to be like the best. And so how do I keep evolving? I was like, I'm going to flip houses. I'm going to put the money I've earned and flip a house. I was like, well, maybe I'll build something. And so I probably looked for a lot for a year. I started at like a $300,000 lot price range, and a lot changed because I had a very Sarah Jessica Parker moment. I was walking, and now at this point it was COVID. And so that's all I did. I just went on walks all around the neighborhood and would write down all of these houses. And I was like, oh, maybe this person would sell. I like this lot. I like this location. And I would go and write offers and drop them off at their doors. And this one house, this one lot, they wanted so much for it, but I just kept going and going. Finally, like, okay, like we will sell. And I was like, okay, at this price. And so we finally agreed to it. Everyone thought I was overpaying. A year later, the lots shot up, 30%.
Yeah.
So, the Sarah Jessica Parker moment was, she got that dress and then had to have the big wedding. I found the lot and I was like, now I'm going to build the fucking house. Now I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make it the anchor of my brand. I don't just sell houses, I build them. And I told myself, I was like, if it costs me every dollar I've ever earned, I will be okay with that, because it's like going back to school. That's what it's going to cost me to build the house. I'll learn permitting, I'll learn finance, I'll meet contractors, I'll have a whole database full of people I can refer to my clients. I'll get a house that I can live in. So it just, in my mind, I just was ticking all of these boxes. And it's just like getting into real estate. You're so naive. You're almost just like, this all sounds great. What could go wrong, And I don't know that I would do it again if I knew how incredibly difficult it was going to be, especially because I timed it with the brand and making it part of my story and, really wanting to get into luxury. I just could never really somehow get into luxury. People were always like, you're too young, you don't know the market, you don't live over here, your kids don't go to school here. So it was just, I just could not break into luxury. And there was a broker I'd even interviewed with, and she just didn't think I was the right fit. And I think I was like, I like the East Side. And she's like, we don't think that's luxury.
Wow.
And I was
Okay.
like, I'm gonna build the most
Badass
nicest,
house.
luxurious house on the East Side.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago, but it stuck with me.
Yeah.
And so I also think during COVID there was this mind shift of something similar than when my dad died. It's like life is fragile. You can't take this money with you when you die.
Right.
And honestly, I was kind of bored. I was like, I could sell real estate in my fucking sleep.
Yeah.
And if no one's going to give me a shot in luxury, I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what I did. And it was extremely difficult, not just building the house, but layering the brand on top of it. And then I was running 12 Rivers at the time as a partner with like 100 agents. And yeah, so yeah, it was a lot.
So, what made you decide not to wait for a partner and instead take bold ownership of your life and space?
I mean, that wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
I've never asked a man for help. I've never really had help. Even when my parents were taking care of me, as a kid, I always was raised to like figure it out on my own. They didn't teach me how to invest money. They opened a bank account for me, but I did not have resources in my life or mentors in my life that taught me anything. And so it's just something I'm accustomed to. And that's what interested me the most, was figuring it out and learning how to do all of these things. And actually most of my entire team was all women: architect, builder, designer. Doug and Lily Cameron, married couple, they were my builders, but he's fine with being part of the girls.
So, what kind of emotional and mental hurdles did you face while building, if any?
All of the emotions, for sure. I mean, a lot of self-doubt. I mean, I would say the best analogy was just being in the trenches. It's like I had made this huge goal, this whole vision, my brand, like everything. I mean, I remember doing it and it just felt like kind of a phoenix rising. I had gone deep because I even hired image consultants. And so I had long blonde hair. I cleaned out my wardrobe. They got me a whole new wardrobe, cut my hair, did my makeup differently. Really wanted to be sure that the brand I was going to go from, those funny spoofs I used to do where I would like dress up and like Britney Spears or do just like funny things, to, no, listen, I actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I look the part. I'm more mature. I'm more elegant. And so the emotions were really internal. Like, who am I? How do I present myself? Is who I am as a person accurately being portrayed?
Right.
And it's similar. It's like, I was in my 20s and, swimsuit photos with the girls all lined up, or like, posting Instagram stories at concerts, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. But when you go around and ask people, like, what do you see when you look at my Instagram? It was a party girl.
Yeah.
Not that there was anything wrong with that, or also selling real estate and partying, but that wasn't the image I wanted to always portray. And so just wanting to share more education, and it really took a toll on me emotionally that I'm just now kind of processing. I mean, there was just being in the trenches and like not just had to keep my head down, blocked everything else out. The poor guys I dated at the time too. It's like, I was very like, you are not a priority. I'm putting myself first. I'm not building other men's businesses. I'm not taking care of other men's kids. I'm putting all of that energy I put in other men into myself. And I'm going to build a fucking house and a company and a brand and an empire. And I did that because I wasn't putting energy into anybody else.
Right.
And And I did that, and I met so many amazing people. I think the best part of the whole process was how many people cheered for me and supported me and encouraged me, and just all the like DMs of like, you're doing great.
Yeah,
Like,
I
this
mean,
is
I was one of
amazing.
them the
Yes,
whole
you were.
time watching your whole journey. It was so inspiring. I
Thank
loved
you.
it and the vulnerability. Like we were all along and
Yeah.
invested in this journey with you.
Yeah, and that was the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It really helped me through it because, it's like I liken it to people who are pregnant when people go up to you and are just like, how far along are you? Is it a boy or a girl? It's like, I just
This
wanted a
is your
shirt that
baby.
said like, I don't know when construction will be done. I don't know when it's just like constant. So it was incessant people bringing up the house. So it was just a whole part of my life. And as much as I was trying to put on this front, because I didn't want to come off not appreciative of the privilege I have
Right,
to
of
do
course.
this. Inside, I almost felt kind of like an imposter. Like
Imposter
I
syndrome.
literally, yeah, I was just I was a mess. That there was no light at the end of the tunnel, and I had to hold a lot of the breakdowns in because of the position I was also in at 12 Rivers. And then when I left 12 Rivers and I had to there was just a lot of change, a lot of pivoting. And it was like every step forward, there was 10 steps backwards. Yeah. And I think looking back, I have a more positive outlook on things. But in it was really, my emotions were mostly scared, mad, frustrated, annoyed, irritated a lot.
Yeah.
Lots of irritation.
Oh my goodness. So, speaking of men, let's talk about dating in your 30s in
Okay.
Austin. What's your honest take on dating in Austin in your 30s?
I loved it. Sorry, that's like an annoying answer. But this is the way I saw it. I wasn't dating to get married. I wasn't dating to have kids. And I think if you do have that intention, it can be very frustrating, but it's supposed to be hard to find your person.
Right.
Like all of the people, and now with dating apps, of course it's going to be hard. I think if every time you go on a date and you're like disappointed that it's not the one, you're that energy is going to come off and you're going to always be frustrated.
Right.
So I just went about it in the sense of I'm going to have fun. I'm at least going to have a good story. I'm going to have a good conversation. If it doesn't work out, maybe he'll want to buy a house, you know? Because also I just didn't like being home. So I was like, oh, this is a great time to like go out and, not talk to clients about real estate, but just go out and make a new friend and someone that you're attracted to, go to a concert, have a nice dinner, go on a trip. And I just met so many amazing guys. I did not have, I guess for me, not a terrible or bad dating experience. And if I had a bad date, I had a great story.
Yeah.
And that was one thing I actually saw myself staying single forever. I was like, this is great. I have a guy for this. I have a guy for this.
Right.
Not one guy has it all, but I've got a little bit of something for, and I did genuinely care about all of them. I mean, I was like, we became friends, and I think, I don't know, that was just kind of how I saw it, because I had been in committed, loyal, long-term relationships and all of my 20s and with kids. So I kind of got that married with kids life at a young age. Wow. So to me, after, I was like, I just want to have fun. Yeah. I just want to meet people. And when I was building my house, so essentially that was my boyfriend was your house. That got my attention. And I liked not having to ask anyone, is it okay if I go out with the girls? Right. It was very freeing. I'm naturally very independent. And so now I have a boyfriend and he's amazing. And we're both very independent, and we choose to be together, and he makes my life better. I obviously make his life better. And I think that's the key, right? Is someone, especially as women in our 30s, what I hear a lot, and I talk a lot about dating, a lot of people come to me with things like this. And I think women do such a great job at building their careers, taking care of themselves, both emotionally, physically. I mean, they are a whole package, and I think they expect that from the man that they're dating. So they put these really high expectations, and I think um, that may not be fair. I think it's, of course, good to throw out the red flags, but I think if you come at dating as something fun and curious, and the way I did it, especially how I met my boyfriend, it's like, I'm not going to go for a guy that I would normally go for
Mm-hmm.
on a dating app. I'm going to go off of vibes. Does this
Mm-hmm.
person look like he has good energy, likes to have a good time? That's how I chose my dates, and it worked out.
I love that. So let's talk about hosting events and community building. You've created some incredible social spaces like Frenchly Friday and No Bad Company. Where did that vision come from?
It came part of the house. I mean, really through the process of building the house, my community just got stronger. And like I said, people were cheering for me out loud. People were saying my name in rooms that I wasn't even
Yeah.
in. And just the way people were bragging about me, I just was like, wow, this is incredible. Um, no one was like, I hope she fails, and I was like, man, I just need to surround myself with people who want me to win.
Yeah.
And how powerful that is to have people in your circle who champion you, and who also, I was referring so much business because people were doing such amazing work for me. My builders, my designers, my contractors, like they showed up and they built my house with such just attention to detail, and the fact that they cared so much about my vision. I wanted to share as many resources and referrals to them as I could. And so I didn't realize how rare it is to have that. There's a lot of people, especially when I was mentoring agents, I was like, pick your 3 or 5 champions that are going to
Yeah.
get up off their chair when they hear someone talk about real estate and give them your business card. You need those champions. And then we got to figure out how to double them and triple them so that in real estate, you can have people go out there and refer for you, because
Yeah.
it's so much better when someone else sells you than you sell yourself. And so I wanted to be more of a cheerleader for other people the way they were for me. And so I was actually in a podcast, and I was telling people, I was telling the girl, Ashley, it's like, you just want to spend your days around good company. She
Yeah.
goes, yeah, no bad company. I was like, that's
That's
it.
it. I love it.
So I have to credit her for the name, but No Bad Company was kind of born. And I also just, I was burnt out of going to dinner every single night, meeting, talking to people. I was like, let's do something where we can hang out as a group,
Yeah.
so I can have some alone time. And so I started doing poker nights because I really wanted to learn poker, and getting women to feel comfortable with money and with risk, not necessarily gambling, but like risk.
Yeah.
And we all like to get together and talk about boys and, Real Housewives. Like, but let's learn something while we do it.
Yeah.
And so poker was really the first thing that got started. And then when I built the house, I just kind of envisioned with French Leaf Fridays being a stop along the way. Like, come over after work, have a drink, have a snack, hang out, meet a new person, and just really curating good people that can help each other, share resources. And I think that's common in at least our Austin real estate bubble. Like, I know if I call you and I say, hey, like I have this client, and I'm not really good at downtown condos, for example. It's like, could you give me some advice on the 360 building? Like, you would share your advice with me.
Of course.
And I
Yeah.
think that's such a great world that we live in. I actually don't know that many realtors who gatekeep their
Right.
information.
Yeah. It's rare.
It's really
Yeah.
nice. I think because the bubble is so small, even though there's so many realtors,
Yeah.
we all kind of want each other to win. I mean, we want to win for our clients first, but we know we're going to do business together again. So we're all pretty respectful of each
Yeah.
other. And I think carrying that into the non-real estate world, where women and men can come together and talk about art and entrepreneurship, and just feel like everyone that's around them is cheering for them, it really just helps the community as a whole. So that's why I did that.
I love it. It's beautiful. So let's talk about reflection and legacy. From Missouri City to Château Chloe, you've built something beautiful on your own terms. What's the common thread in your journey?
The common thread in my journey. I think it's just wanting to live a life of purpose. I think I've always had this weird obsession with time. Like, it just always felt like time was ticking. I just maybe it had to do a lot with like my upbringing and my dad's temper, that it would go from just being happy to then not. And I think just always want to enjoy the good times as much as I possibly can. And that's just how I want to live my life, is especially with, whether it's God, the universe has blessed me in so many ways that it would be such a waste if I didn't take advantage of the love and the opportunity that comes my way. And so, for me, the legacy is just how many people can I be an advocate for? How many people can we bring together and build connections? I think with the time part, we're all going to die. It's something I've been aware of from such a young age, that the thing that's going to get us through the tough times is community and support. And I want everyone to feel like they have someone in their corner that's going to be there for them. And so that's what I hope my legacy will be, is just building community where everyone feels supported and have fun. I think that's the whole thing, is laughter and fun. So I hope people will look back on any time they spent with me and said, damn, I had a good time.
Yeah.
And I felt better about myself afterwards. So I think if more people can do that for each other, have a good laugh and make each other feel understood, then everyone, it'll just be a ripple effect, and everyone will just have a good day.
I love that. And there will be world peace. Like, if only everyone could implement that mentality and that way of thinking and way of life, that, sharing.
I think peace is interesting. It's something I've recently started to feel, being in my home and like, oh, this is what peace feels like. And sometimes that, and for a while that gave me severe anxiety. I was like, oh my God, what do I do with this slow, quiet time? And then the noise just got loud from being peaceful. And I was like, I think as humans, we're not wired to have peace.
Right.
Whether it's self-sabotage or it's, being chased by lions back in the day, whatever it is, I think even if you're happy, that it's fleeting. So I think peace really is something internal that you do have to kind of work on.
Right.
And if my events give people a chance to be present or have like that spark of energy from a good conversation, then I think when you get home at the end of that event, you feel peace. Like, you feel like, oh, I was seen today. I had a good laugh today. I met someone that, was really interesting, and life is actually spontaneous in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think that that combination can really give you that sense of calm and peace.
Well, thank you for coming today. Thank you for sharing your story, your journey. You're such an inspiration. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. You're building this really incredible community in Austin, in addition to being an incredible realtor.
Thank you.
So thank you so much.
You asked such great questions. I appreciate
it. Bye, guys.
Bye.